So Micah Parsons pulled off a mic drop on X a little bit earlier in the day. He published a book, basically, in which it basically ended up saying he wanted to be traded from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we all know nobody loves drama as much as Jerry Jones, especially during training camp. And this ultimately plays into Jerry Jones's hands because Jerry Jones doesn't want to actually answer any phone calls from any agents during training camp until it's time. He's like the old Heinz ketchup commercials. You just have to sit there and wait and wait and wait for the goddamn ketchup to come out of the bottle. So we begin tonight with our feature story, which of course is Micah Parsons publishing a book on X a little earlier in the day. This particular book basically could have been titled "Get Me Out of Dallas," as he has officially requested a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, by now, I'm sure you all have seen and heard all sorts of different and a wide variety of takes on this from both your local pundits as well as the national media. I'm certainly here tonight to tell you that I highly doubt Micah Parsons is actually going to get traded. It just basically never happens in the NFL, and especially never happens during training camp. I can only think of a few occasions where this has actually worked out for the particular player, where they've actually been traded. That being said, we are going to get into this topic, which of course includes Jerry Jones acting like the old guy from Scooby-Doo who used to say, "I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those darn kids." Look, Jerry Jones is essentially the king of meddling when it comes to contract negotiations. Welcome back to the NFL Rundown. You're on the Nat channel. As always, I'm Dave DeBaugh, coming to you from the Silicon Valley. I swear Jerry Jones is just like that guy from the old man from Scooby-Doo. All right. So before we dive into some of the details of all of this, I went to several different AI tools and I asked them to write some jokes for me about Jerry Jones meddling. And basically all of them were horrible except for this one. Now you'll have to decide whether or not you think a AI written joke is actually worth repeating, but I am going to go ahead and repeat this to you. Here we go. This is actually from ChatGPT. Why did Jerry Jones get kicked out of the NFL's annual meeting? Because he thought no contact with players meant just don't text their agents. All right. So our feature story, as I mentioned, is this Jerry Jones story. And I don't know. Tell me what you think about that AI joke. It actually wasn't half bad. That being said, and this story really is a story made for public relations. In other words, Jerry Jones has proven over the years that he is the king of making sure the Dallas Cowboys stay on the front sheet of everybody's national newspaper. Now, I know we don't have newspapers really anymore, but if you follow ESPN at all, or if you follow Yahoo, or if you're on Barstool, or if you're on any of the other sports platforms, you will ultimately almost always see a Dallas Cowboys story in the headlines. Good or bad, you will see it. And this is certainly another example of Jerry Jones doing what he likes to do during training camp, which is ensuring that his platform, America's team, actually stays on the front cover, so to speak. So Micah Parsons' contract stalling out certainly is not surprising. It won't surprise me at all if we get to the end of the weekend and Micah Parsons hasn't been traded and Micah Parsons doesn't have a new contract. My guess is a new contract will certainly get done between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons at some point in the next couple weeks. That being said, when you think about what Jerry Jones is actually being accused of at this point, is not unfamiliar territory either. Apparently, Jerry Jones allegedly got together with Micah Parsons and discussed a contract. He believed that the contract was going to get done based on those terms. Micah Parsons apparently went back to his agent and told his agent about it. At which point, of course, his agent tried to contact the Dallas Cowboys. Apparently, the Cowboys didn't pay their AT&T mobile cell phone bill and weren't answering his calls. Now, if you're wondering who Micah Parsons' agent actually is, it's David McGullheedy. Oh, God, I'm so sorry I butchered his name. Now, David actually has 86 clients in the National Football League that represent over $1.3 billion. He's the same agent that gave us that great Deshaun Watson contract. You know, the guaranteed $261 million deal. It was somewhere between 230 and 261, just depending on who you actually listen to. He has a wide variety of other big name clients that you'd recognize, including Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, Kyle Pitts, Jesse Bates, Jalen Ramsey, Derwin James. Look, the list goes on and on and on. He is one of the great agents in the National Football League today. He's 41 years old, coming up on 42, and has been at this for quite some time. He knows what he's doing. So for Micah Parsons to actually sit down and have a meeting with Jerry Jones behind his agent's back is not unheard of in Jerry Jones's world. Jerry Jones certainly feels like, as the owner of his team, he should be able to sit down with a player. When you think about it, the agent actually works for Micah Parsons. When you think about it, any of the lawyers that the Cowboys are going to ultimately use to get the deal done with Micah Parsons ultimately work for Jerry Jones. It's not unheard of that a owner would actually want to sit down and do a one-on-one discussion with a particular player, of course, without getting into all of the nooks and crannies of an actual contract, but at least iron out what they are thinking. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for Jerry Jones to have done. That being said, once that was done, for the Dallas Cowboys to not actually answer the phone calls lobbed by the agent, allegedly, of Micah Parsons, that is where there is a misstep here. Now, Jerry Jones knows that agent's going to keep calling. Jerry Jones knows that agent's going to keep calling and calling and calling. And when Jerry Jones feels the need that he's gotten enough from a public relations hit out of what's happened with this whole scenario, then and only then will Jerry Jones ultimately pick up the phone. Like, how hard is it to actually get a Micah Parsons deal done at this point? I think at the end of the day, we can expect that Micah Parsons will ultimately sign a contract that's probably going to be anywhere between $140 and $200 million, probably be 4, maybe 5 years long. It is pretty simple math at this point when you look at the comparisons and you look at what Micah Parsons is actually worth. It's pretty easy, actually, to get this deal done. Jerry knows it. Micah Parsons knows it, and Micah Parsons' agent knows it, and the lawyers that Jerry Jones is going to use to help ultimately seal the deal also know it. All right, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this particular topic. Please go ahead and drop them in when you have a chance. Now, of course, the rumors are running rampant about where would Micah Parsons go from a trade perspective. There's also been a ton of comp comparisons done over the last 5 hours between, of course, Micah Parsons and, if you will, Khalil Mack. This is an attempt to actually show what was traded from Oakland to Chicago when that big Khalil Mack deal actually went down. The Bears actually ended up giving up 2 first-round draft picks, a third-round pick, and a 6th-round pick for Mack. A 2nd pick and a conditional 5th-round pick. Not quite the Herschel Walker trade, but hell, the Chicago Bears did give up a lot to actually receive Khalil Mack. Any of the teams that are actually attempting to lob calls into the Dallas Cowboys right now to actually inquire about Micah Parsons would most likely be on the hook for something similar. Look, they shouldn't even make the call if they're not willing to do what the Chicago Bears did to get Khalil Mack in the first place, which, if you think about it from a Bears perspective, how did that really work out for you, Chicago? Look, at the end of the day, the Green Bay Packer rumor just can't possibly be true. The San Francisco 49er rumor could be true. And of course, the desire of the New England Patriots certainly makes a lot of sense, and we know they have a lot of draft capital that certainly looks like it's going to be valuable. But beyond that, the other big team people like to talk about when it comes to Micah Parsons is, of course, the odds-on favorite coming out of the AFC this year, which is, no, not the Kansas City Chiefs. The other darling of the AFC, of course, is the Buffalo Bills. And who wouldn't like to see a good old Micah Parsons hanging out in Buffalo playing for the Buffalo Bills? All right, I'm sure none of that's actually going to happen. I've got to believe that eventually in the next 2 weeks when the phone rings, Jerry Jones is actually going to answer it. And I bet the negotiations that take place between Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons' agent don't last longer than 25 minutes because this is a pretty obvious deal when you really think about it. All right, please go ahead and drop in your comments when you have a chance. For the Nats NFL Rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.